Hi there. When a loved one goes into the hospital and they get hooked up to the monitors, you would think that the alarms that go off will indicate to the nurses, to the doctors, that there is a problem that needs to be treated. And the monitors usually do go off correctly. It is the users, however, such as those nurses and doctors, that don't listen well enough to the monitors. What typically happens is an alarm goes off and the nurses and doctors will come up, see what it is that is causing the alarm to go off, whether the oxygen levels are low or whether the heartbeat is off, and they will turn off the alarm and then treat the issue. When you have a patient who, for example, has a trach tube and it keeps popping off, the alarm will go off over and over and over again. When you have a patient who might move a lot and their sensor for their oxygen levels pops off their finger a lot, it will indicate that there's no oxygen or the oxygen is too low. The alarm will go off. And when the nurses and doctors start to hear an alarm over and over again, and when they come and arrive there and they don't see any very huge problem that needs to be treated, they create something called alarm fatigue. And it happens in our hospitals across the nation, where they hear the alarm, they go to treat it, but then over time they realize it's not anything that is causing huge problems to the patient. So then the next time when the alarm does go off and there is a big problem, the trach tube came off, oxygen levels are actually rapidly deteriorating, and the monitor is on the finger, that is when they tend to not monitor or look at the patient. They hear the alarm, they figure, all right, something else again is happening and it's not a big deal. Some nurses and doctors will mute the alarm, knowing that they're going to come back later and check on the patient, and then something else pops up and they can't do it. In addition, there might be times where a hospital is understaffed and they just simply can't get to an alarm or a patient in time. All of these are very preventable issues. When an alarm goes off at a hospital and it's a monitor that's hooked up to a patient, whether it's blood or pulse or oxygen levels or anything else, it should always, always be monitored and treated, no matter what the condition is. However, there are still times where the alarm goes off and the patient is not treated, and ultimately will suffer either a cardiac arrest or respiratory arrest and subsequently die. If your loved one died in a hospital and you believe that the condition could have been treated quickly and it wasn't, then you may have a medical malpractice claim. You need to speak to a medical malpractice lawyer. My name is Adam Funk, and I am a medical malpractice attorney. I'd be happy to chat with you about your claim.